while Russia says it's destroyed 3 Ukrainian unmanned boats that were trying to attack 2 Russian naval ships in the Black Sea more than 300 kilometers from Sevastopol. Now, Ukrainian marine drones were also said to have been behind an attack 2 weeks ago on the bridge linking occupied Crimea with Russia. Hours earlier, the mayor of Moscow said there had been another nighttime drone attack on the capital's business district, the second in 3 days, while authorities say a drone hit the same commercial tower block that was struck on Sunday. You can see here some images of the damage in these pictures to that tower block, or emergency services are at the scene, but there's no information yet about any possible injuries. Several other drones were reportedly taken down by air defense systems. Well, meanwhile, the mayor of the Ukrainian city of Kyiv says at least 3 drones have hit populated areas of the city, one of them destroying 2 floors of a college dormitory and others hitting the city center. 1 person is reported to have been injured. Well, later on I asked our correspondent Keith James Waterhouse whether we can be sure that the recent drone attacks on the territory of Russia were carried out by Ukraine. I don't think we can say for certain it is Ukraine. I think there have been cases in the past when Kyiv has appeared to be responsible with these drone strikes deep inside either Russian territory or Russian-controlled territory inside Ukraine, but it's extremely difficult. All we are going on at the moment is what the Russian officials are saying. The mayor of Moscow is saying in terms of another night of Ukrainian drones they claim being shot down in the same skyscraper being damaged. Then we have this unverified footage of a high-rise floor with the shattered glass. It's very murky. And then you have the coupling allegation where once again these unmanned boats, these marine drones, are allegedly used against Russia's Black Sea Fleet. We're told they were all intercepted, but we are talking about places that are essentially Russian fortresses. That's what the Kremlin still likes to portray, and so I think there are 2 likely scenarios here. It could of course be Ukraine. It's done this kind of thing before, and these kind of attacks do apply psychological pressure. You're not going to suddenly see Ukrainian troops crossing the border to try and take Russian territory. This has always been about defending for Kyiv, and that's also something its Western allies are incredibly nervous about. But we have to remind ourselves that Russia is a country which uses full slag operations where it stages events to justify military operations, and it's also a country that has weathered an attempted mutiny in recent months. So we really do need to be bright-eyed and look at more than one possibility here until more information comes in. But it's interesting, Ukraine has attacks from the sky on a daily basis, but when we see them in Russia it gets a lot more attention. Sometimes in terms of the bigger picture, what does this actually mean? Because as you say, these attacks happen on a daily basis in Ukraine, and clearly this is gaining quite a bit of attention because we don't really hear about these attacks in Russia. It's not happened as much before. No, I mean we've seen more than 100 drone attacks like this where we've seen typically energy infrastructure hit. We've seen military sites here, and late we have seen drones flying through Russia's capital. They've got propeller engines, and it's a strange mirror image with the Iranian-made Shahed drones that we see flying through cities like Kyiv, where because they're so slow they make it through occasionally air defense systems that can still cause significant damage. I think Russia's goal in its airstrikes of Ukraine is to suppress the population, is to lower morale. They have never really done anything to influence military developments on the battlefield, but when you see these drone strikes inside Russia, I think it puts pressure on the population, because the majority of the Russian population appear to support this wall. So if you're seeing explosions in the financial district close to your home, and if you listen to what President Zelensky, for example, says in terms of the war coming to their doorstep, and you make that connection, then that makes Vladimir Putin's job all the more difficult in both trying to justify the invasion and mobilize more men for his faltering war effort. So it is interesting in terms of a mirror image. It's far from a mirror image, but it's interesting that different effect these airstrikes have depending on what side of the border you're on.